We've all been there, done it, got the t-shirt. We've all had to sit and watch induction DVDs. And yep, this is another one. Some of what you're about to see may seem familiar. Some of what you're about to see you may think is even irrelevant to what you do. But people still die in accidents at work in the UK every week. So all we ask is that you give us your attention for the next 15 minutes. Because you never know, some of what you're about to see may even end up saving somebody's life. Lovell is a member of the Considerate Constructors scheme. Our construction sites can have a big impact on people's lives. Many sites will be right in the middle of sensitive residential areas. But if we at Lovell can manage our sites competently and efficiently, be aware of the environmental issues, and above all, be good neighbours to the surrounding community, then together we'll provide a positive advertisement, not just for Lovell, but for the construction industry as a whole.
Whether it's your first day on site or any other day, before you do anything else, you need to sign in at the site office when you arrive. And remember to sign out before you leave.
On Lovell sites, as with all sites, standard PPE must be worn at all times. In other words, hard hat, high-vis vest, protective footwear and safety gloves. If what you're doing creates heat, sparks or fire, then a hot works permit must be obtained from site management. All agreed precautions must be complied with. If they haven't done so already, as part of this induction, your supervisor will brief you on your company's safe systems of work and familiarise you with things like the latest COSH assessment. They'll also take you through emergency procedures and what to do in case of fire. They'll show you where the fire assembly points are located on this particular site, and they'll show you the washrooms, the storage facilities and the unloading areas. All Lovell sites are strictly non-smoking, and that includes vaping. However, there will be a designated area by site management where you can smoke or vape. Lovell operate a random drug and alcohol testing regime on all their projects. Employees may be selected at any point at random and tested for substances throughout a calendar year. The qualified first aiders on this site are identified here on the office notice board. Please familiarise yourself with who these people are. If you're bringing any kind of mobile plant or power tools onto site, they'll need to be inspected before use and the details entered into the appropriate register. Also, Lovell will need to see documentary evidence of your competence to use them. If you're bringing electrical tools, it's 110 volt maximum. Some of the most common construction jobs create high dust levels, for example drilling or cutting materials like timber or concrete. Before work starts, look at ways of stopping or reducing the amount of dust you might make. Use different materials, less powerful tools or other work methods. For jobs that involve the use of power tools like chop saws, disc cutters and drills, limit the amount of dust created by choosing appropriate tools and accessories. Use on-tool extraction or damping down methods to control the dust. When using on-tool extraction, make sure the vacuum used is an M or H class unit. Do not use L class units or general domestic vacuum cleaners. When using disc cutters, water must be used to damp down dust clouds. The purpose-built water suppression system on the tool must be used correctly. This means enough water the whole time the work is being done. Just wetting the material beforehand will not work. On-tool extraction or water suppression alone is not enough to fully reduce exposure to harmful dust. Breathing protection must be worn as well. Wear an FFP3 mask, ensuring you are clean-shaven. You must be appropriately face-fit tested to ensure the mask used is of the correct size and type. For those with facial hair, powered respirator hoods should be used. Regularly breathing construction dust can cause diseases like lung cancer, asthma and silicosis. Silica is the second biggest killer of construction workers after asbestos. For further information on controlling dust, refer to the Lovell Minimum Dust Standards. No matter what trade you're involved in, the chances are at some point you will be working at height. And working at height is one of the most dangerous things you can do.
At Lovell, we work hard to make sure that safe systems of working are in place and are backed up by the very best equipment. Any scaffolding anywhere on site can only be altered by a qualified scaffolder. If access ladders are being used, they must be secured on both stiles at the top to a secure fixture. Guardrails must be in place. All platforms must have adequate edge protection in place at all times. Brick guards must be fitted. Finally, unless you're a qualified scaffolder, don't touch it.
If you ever discover that items of scaffolding are missing or have not been constructed properly, report it immediately to your supervisor or the site management. Whichever delivery method you use, make sure the appropriate gates and barriers are in place to prevent falling materials.
And if you are working below a loading bay, keep well outside the exclusion zone.
Whatever you're doing, when you're working at height, make sure you use the right equipment and you know how to use it safely. If you're working at height inside a building, make sure you use the proper safety equipment, particularly around stairwells and open joists. Stairwell protection, if removed, must be refitted at the earliest opportunity.
Whatever you do, while working at height, never ever improvise.
Slips, trips and falls are a direct result of poor housekeeping, so keep all your areas and walkways clean and tidy. Regularly clear your waste using the appropriate skips and containers. Strictly no bombing.
Keep cables out of harm's way.
Don't leave tools lying around.
Store materials away from walkways and doorways.
As a basic rule of thumb, before you start a job, take 20 seconds to assess your workplace. Are there any potential hazards? And when you finish, take another 20 seconds. Am I leaving it safe and tidy for other people?
On all level sites, pedestrians and vehicles must be effectively segregated at all times. Always follow the site rules and make yourself aware of the site traffic management plan. Always use the walkways provided and the designated crossing points. And if there is any plant around, make sure you get the thumbs up from the plant operator before crossing. And be prepared to challenge anyone not following these rules. For children, correct lifting technique is automatic. But as adults, we get lazy, we get complacent. We bend with our spines, lift with our backs, and do ourselves a lot of damage. Says it all, really. Back problems can build up over time, so it pays to pick things up in the right manner from the start. A bit like we did when we were kids. And whenever possible, make use of the mechanical aids provided.
Again, whatever you're doing, take time to assess the situation before you lift or move something, and if in doubt, ask and get advice.
Never touch anything, gas or electric, unless you're qualified to do so. Even if it's loosening a socket to tile behind, don't do it. Do not start any work until an electrician has physically locked off the power supply and fitted safety shields or UZ boxes. From time to time, you may need to use substances that are potentially harmful or dangerous. Always double check the label to make sure you've got the right substance for the job. Before you use any substances, make sure you've read the relevant COSH assessment. Remember to lock the door behind you. Never eat or drink when you're handling substances, and wash your hands after using them.
And remember, always use the right PPE for the job.
Protecting the environment from dust, noise and pollution is a key priority on all Lovell sites. Mobile generators must be placed on spill mats to avoid leakage of oil or fuel. If there is any spillage for any reason, make sure that you are familiar with the procedures in place to deal with it.
Switch off general lighting when not required.
Turn off plant machinery when not in use.
Before you bin anything, have a think, Can it be used or recycled again?
They may seem like little things, but it all adds up. And if we all do something, then it can really make a difference. Who knows? We might even leave the planet in a half-decent state for our kids. Before starting on any excavation, a permit to dig must be obtained from the Lovell site manager. Drag boxes are the preferred method of shoring up excavations on Lovell sites. Whatever method you use, you'll need approval from the Lovell Design Checking Service. Appropriate edge protection needs to be provided around the excavation and adequate access in and out. Once completed, the excavation inspection must be recorded in the Lovell Register. The risk of the trench filling up with water also needs to be considered. If pumping out the excavation is necessary, then you'll need a permit to discharge from site management, subject to the consents from the relevant authority. Site security is really important. If your site's got a boundary fence, never open it and go through it unless you are authorised to do so. And if it has been opened, then close it and secure it. Never leave your valuables unattended. Close the gates at the bottom of scaffold towers and tell site management that works have finished.
Close all doors and storage facilities.
At the end of every day, make sure you take your tools with you or lock them away.
But of course it's not the end. It's only the beginning really, because we can sit and watch induction DVDs till we're blue in the face, quite frankly, but it all means nothing unless we take what we've seen on board. So please, before you do anything,
Take 20 seconds to assess your workplace.
is it safe? And if you see something which you don't think is safe, then report it to your supervisor or site manager. And if in doubt about anything, just ask. Thanks for watching.